I'm more than a little awkward. I had surgery on my wrist, and so I've been one-armed farming for 2 months now, one more month to go. So I was surprised when Christine asked me to speak because I'd been here 3 previous years, and I always heard expert, experienced farmers talk, and oh boy. I told her, you know, I'm a rookie. And she said, that's okay, just tell your farm story, and there may be some things that some people can gain from it, so that's what I'm going to try to do. My wife Joan and I purchased our farm initially not for with any intention to farm, because she grew up in University Heights, a Cleveland suburb, and I knew Philadelphia in a small town, no farm experience whatsoever. The point was just to have a getaway place out in the country, and maybe in long term we'd have a place for retirement. We bought the farm from the retired adult children of, from the retired children of the last couple to farm the place. This had been homesteaded in 1852 and went father to son as a dairy farm. The last people to farm it farmed into the late 60s, and it had lain fallow until 1989 when we bought it, so it was well on its way back to being a woods when we purchased the farm. It's a lovely hilly property. We had no fence. We actually had no water. We had 3 barns that were salvageable but had leaking roofs. We had an 1852 cabin and 3 or 4 buildings that were falling in and needed raised. So give you an idea of our inauspicious beginning, in September, just a week or so after we had closed on the farm, Joan and I and our 2- and 4-year-old were in the woods with an ODNR consultant who was going to develop a woodland management plan. Joan said, I'm going to take the kids back to the cabin. An hour and a half later when I got there, they were nowhere to be found. So I did a frantic half-hour search, found them about 1,000 feet north of the cabin in 6-foot-high weeds, overheated, and the kids crying, and Joan less than happy. We got them back to the cabin, did a little recuperation, a little rehydration, and Joan approached me with a calm voice but the fiercest eyes I'd ever seen on her and said, if we had not already signed for this place, it would not be happening. So fast forward about 10 years, and we had, unanticipatedly, we made a move to the farm, sold our house, quit our jobs, and came to Noble County, largely because of the warm embrace of our neighbors and Kennisburg Church, which we became very involved in. The kids were moving toward high school, and there were no AP courses available, and I was concerned about their education. So I said, Joan, what do you think about moving back to Stowe in the Akron area for a different school system? And she said, well, you know, if you move to Stowe, you're sure going to miss us. So the farm story is the story of that transformation that happened over that period of time. We, as I said, had no fence and a lush crop of multiflora rose. We decided, well, you know, we've got land. Maybe we should get some cows. So a friend of mine, Jeff Moore, helped me find 2 cow-calf pairs that were bred. And we began with I started out with just a chainsaw and a weed whacker. I was from the suburbs, you know. So we went to Lashley Tractor and got an old Ford 3000 and a brush hog and started making paths and putting up temporary fence. And that's where our cattle started. But as I say, we had nothing that we needed there. This is how we started to open up our pastures. We were thrilled to find out that there were tools more formidable than my chainsaw, and made use of them whenever we could find them. The fencing was our first major approach. I want to go back to this picture here on. I told Chris this is the first time I ever put together a PowerPoint presentation, and it shows. We needed a sacrifice area, so I'm trying to find where I put the fence picture. There it is, thanks. So this was a sacrifice area. That was the first thing we did in 2019. It was a great help to have a way to get out of the mud in the wintertime. In 2020, we did a line fence. Here we used the new Ohio line fence law and wrote up an alternative line fence agreement, ran it by an attorney, and our 9 adjoining neighbors were gracious to sign that agreement with us. So we had it surveyed, brought in excavators and cleared the fence line and built that fence, which was a big help. Then in 2022, the blue lines here, we began to work on fencing out our woods and finished that project up with the help of the QUIP through NRCS in 2023 with the purple lines here. And when we did that, we also fenced off an area for an experiment in warm season grasses. That's about 4 acres there. The woods that are here are gone now. Those were cleared when we put the line fence in. We had that done at the same time. Okay. Yep. Got the enclosure there. There it was. Forage, obviously very important for our cattle. We knew nothing about doing it. As we cleared, we just utilized whatever grass came up. And we did, though, attempt to we took soil samples every 3 years. We were never able to do everything that the soil sample called for us to do, but we did whack away at it and made some improvements. We had a couple of times we were able to put a little bit of lime out, nothing really substantial. And then in 2020, we were able to put down 150 tons of lime on our farm, which made a big improvement. That was a video. We rented a seeder from Noble County Soil and Water, and we purchased HQO seed from Kevin directed us in that way from Fowler Seed, and we put down seed in 16 acres of pasture that we had treated with a non-selective herbicide. We had wonderful germination, and it came on really strong. We also overseeded in an area where we had a tremendous knapweed infection. You know, the ag educators tell you that if you see the purple flowers, get on it right away or it'll take over, and you should listen to them. It really does. I wish I had a picture of it, but this area was covered with knapweed. It was like an indoor-outdoor carpet with the florets of the knapweed. It was terrible. We sprayed with Graze On Next. We got a knapweed control grant through NRCS, and we did a blanket spray of Graze On Next the first year, 2020, and then in 2021 we did a spot spraying. 2022 we did a blanket spray again. And as I said, overseeded with the seed from Fowler Seed, and it really has been remarkable. We don't have it all gone. We've got good control, though, and we've implemented a process of pulling anything that we see as we go around on the farm, and that's making good progress. This was that same field the last time that we hayed it. I'll get into that in a minute. We've switched, though, now to buying hay. So all the hay that I bring into the farm, I purchase from a couple of farmers in our area. One of the nice things about getting the hay in is it also makes a great playground for the grandkids. We enjoy that. Cattle handling and safety. In 2019, we were able to build a corral that I put a couple of things together to try to manage the cattle that didn't work all that well. I've got a very experienced good friend, Randy Nelson, who helped me come up with a real efficient corral for sorting and loading and treating the cattle. We developed a mud problem in there, so in 2021, I think it was, we removed the topsoil and we put in 4-inch gravel and topped it with DOT 304s. It made a nice surface for us and now safe for us to work the cattle and safe for them as well. Had our inspectors in making sure everything was okay after we finished that. In our sacrifice area, I'd seen my friends Bev and Bruce Riddle had me out to Irish Ridge Farm and showed me heavy use pad that they were using in a feeding system that was really very efficient. So I tried to duplicate that. We took a section of our sacrifice area and graded and put in stone, and poured a 100 by 16 pad, heavy use pad with the curb there to help manage the manure. Down at that far end, there's a manure collection pit now. Put wood posts in there. Bev and Bruce have a sloped area that feeds the hay bales very efficiently. I tried to do that with dirt, and it didn't work very well at all. The hay bales don't slide well on dirt, and there was a lot of waste that came in there. So we pulled that system out, and we put in steel posts and put concrete in, and then built a sloped feeding system here with a curb, and that's kind of what it looks like. This is it in operation, and I'm telling you, it works fantastically. These bales, I put them out, and they will, in the course of a week, slide down there, and they clean up all the hay. There's very little waste that gets past that curb. We built another heavy use pad. I wanted to have a way to winter a different size set of animals, and instead of selling at weaning weight, I wanted to start trying to raise the cattle to a heavier weight, get maybe more total dollars at sale time. So we put in another heavy use pad close to that corral that I showed you a moment ago. And it turned out, though, because of the drought, we had to sell the calves I was going to keep. I had to sell, so we have not finished that pad yet, but it's on the agenda to finish this coming year and put that in operation, I hope, next year with the calves we have on the ground now. One of the things that's really important, we're getting kind of old, and so one of the things that's important to us is farm succession. And I'm very concerned about my kids and grandkids as I'm hoping that some of the grandkids will have an opportunity to farm. And so everything that I do is oriented toward how do I make this more efficient for them, and how do I make it as safe as possible for them. So the last year that we made hay, I was taking the hay off. We had a road that accessed our hay field. It was up on a ridge. Initially, I could only get to it through a neighbor's property because it was the ground was so bad, and there was so much brush and so forth in there. Eventually, I was able to make a tractor road with a big switchback in it if I could get up there with equipment. But over time, it eroded, and so it was no longer something that was really workable for getting equipment up there. So I was taking a shortcut down a big steep hill, taking one bale at a time, and it was getting dark, and I thought, I'm going to just get the hay wagon. So I did that, took it up there, loaded it up, and made an attempt to take 10 round bales off that ridge with my Ford 3000. And I was fortunate to survive this because of God and a seatbelt. But the trailer pushed the tractor. It was a runaway, jackknifed and rolled the trailer. The tractor actually had rolled 360 degrees. You can see the tongue of the trailer there. It just twisted that steel. So it's quite a frightening experience. The bales were coming off the trailer so fast that the tractor ended up, they were passing the tractor, and the tractor came to rest on top of a bale. So last year, our major project was to fix that tractor road so that we no longer had to go down a dangerous route. So we removed all the topsoil and brought in stone and pavement grindings, and I now have a road all the way up to our north fence line that switches back so the grandkids can be safe when they make hay. And we didn't have water where we needed it. We had water aplenty on the east side of our farm, and we had absolutely none that was on the north and the west side. So Jay McElroy and Dave Sayer from NRCS were walking our farm, helping me look for water. Suggested putting a cistern up on the top of that ridge and then gravity feeding. So we decided to try that. Jay had recommended coming from the water meter right up to the pasture, but instead I brought it to the house so I could put a control system in, and that way I could pump either city water or spring water up there. And we used HDPE pipe, so we'd have no fittings in it, and I had to learn to weld the pipe. We practiced for a while, tried it with the tractor, and figured out it would hold. So that's what we used, tied into the water meter. We had to upgrade the water meter because we didn't have enough pressure with a standard meter to push the water up 130 feet. So we've got 125 PSI water meter in there. Built a control system. On the left is where the spring system comes in, and over here you can see the, where's that pointer here? Here's where the HDPE pipe comes in, and then it goes back out up here to the ridge. We put a differential valve in the pump, or in the cistern up on the top, so that we don't have to have the pump come on every single time the cattle take a drink. That water drops down about 18 inches, and then the pump comes on and fills it up. Took PVC pipe across the ridge, and then we put trunk lines off to go to different water feeders. Put PVC valves in Schedule 8-inch pipe, and made a little T-wrench to operate the valves. Put a car tank halfway down the ridge. This is what it looks like when we go down to the various water stations. This is the lowest tank, furthest one out, almost right to our north line. When we initially set it up, water ran in like gangbusters. As soon as that valve shut off, Elon Musk would have been proud of the PVC pipe rocket that shot out of there, because all that pressure we had to put in to get that water up the hill now was coming down into this tank that was not prepared for the experience. My good friend Randy Nelson, the guy that helped me with the corral, came up with a solution. This is welded aluminum that the rectangular part there bolts to the side of the tank, and there's a threaded cap there that comes down over that PVC inlet and holds it in place, and now it works just fine. We were recipients of the worst drought in Ohio, right in Noble County. We're right in the center of it. So as I said, we sold about a third of our cattle, and Christine and others put on a program for how to manage the drought. We learned about limit hay feeding. I'd never heard of it before. We had already tested our hay. We weighed it and counted it, and did BCS and weight estimates on the cattle, and Christine graciously computed the nutritional needs for our cattle, which were in stage 1, lactation and rebreeding. So they had their highest nutritional needs. We took advantage of the savings of a bulk feed over a bag, put in a grain feeder there, and we utilized this feeding area that I stole from Bruce and Bev Riddle, and so we can feed the grain right in there, and we give a quarter of a round bale in the morning and in the afternoon to the cattle. And then right before the afternoon feeding, we give them a grain. They're getting about 12 pounds of a 12.4% grain mixture right now, and cleaning up all the hay very happily. The calves have creep feeder, and we have free choice minerals for everybody. One of the side effects of the drought for us, our springs are still not running. Usually the water runs fast enough that our tanks stay relatively free of ice. Now they're icing up really badly, so I was breaking ice twice a day. In the morning it would be 1 3/4 inches of ice, which is really tough with one hand to break. So I found a propane heater, and it has been a great blessing. Keeps the tanks free even in really, really cold water, so we're very glad to have found that. Our goals continue to address fertility.